Hello, my name is Jimmy, and this is my very first Wirewrap tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I made this piece. First, what I'm going to do is take some half-round 14 gauge dead soft copper wire and cut about, say, 7 inches of it. Let's do 7 inches. I just got some flush cutters here. I used to cut it. And this is a very useful tool to have the parallel action pliers. The force disperse just goes, instead of like a scissoring motion, it just goes flat. As opposed to these nylon tip. But whatever you have works. And grip it about right there. Just give it like a little bend in it. With the flat side facing up. And I'm going to use my fingers to work it into like a little U shape. If you need to use your nylon tip pliers or parallel action pliers, they definitely help with the half round. Pull it in a little bit to more of that teardrop shape with this kind of angling. I'm going to use these flat nose pliers to get a little sharper of an angle there. I'm going to take these bent nose pliers and just give it like a little kink in it. And work this piece through the middle there. I have these chain nose pliers used to squeeze around there. Just making one wrap around just like that. Make sure it's squeezed tight. Just push that. Take my flush cutters again, snip it just about there. Just enough so that you can flatten it down on the top, on the flat side of the half round. And this is going to be the inside of the piece, whereas this is going to be like facing the outside of the back. I got that. I'm just going to like angle this piece up a little bit. Just like that. What I'm doing right now is starting the frame of the piece. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these needle nose pliers or round nose pliers and just give it that bend like I did, just what about there, and just bent it over. I'm going to flip it back this way and kind of just like play with it. Work in the shape like that. I'm going to bend the shape kind of like a U. And right here, not quite exactly in the middle, but just before the middle, I'm going to use my fingers to just work the wire this way and work it through that spot. Use some pliers to help you. And then once I've got it about where I want it, I have it coming down right into this spot here. So I make a kink there to establish where I'm going to secure it to the frame. just like that. Then I'll work this end through there again. So I use some pliers to just secure it to the frame. Squeezing it on there tight. Making one full wrap around. And pull it off when it comes out the second time, pulling it off to this side. Trying to keep the half round side up a little bit. I kind of like an angle, so I got it like this. Now what I'm going to do is try to keep the half round side up and take it and pass it through here. Try to give it like this nice curve out shape. Because I'm going to put a spiral in here. Either coiled spiral or just, I'm not sure yet. Do you have it about there? Coming back in there. So that's about where I want it. Just coming along with the shape of that, so it'll be kind of shaped like that. Now I'm going to make my kink. And snip it just about like 2 to 3 centimeters, or millimeters I mean, with space left, so I can just squeeze it right onto the back neck of the bail we created. Squeezed on there nicely. And yeah, there's the basic shape of our piece. I'm going to secure a stone. I'm going to create a prong setting, which will put the stone right in the middle of there and connect over here at this top corner over here and this bottom corner here. Let's do that. I'm going to use 21 gauge square wire. Sometimes I use 24 gauge depending on the size of the stone and overall size of the piece. Right now I'm using 21 gauge square. And I'm going to cut about 8 inches of 21 gauge square. Taking my pliers, and what I did was working it out, kind of hardening the wire. It is dead soft, 21 gauge square copper wire that I'm using. Just a slight kink in it right here, so what I'll do is squeeze that and pull that out straight. There we go, one more kink. One piece. Just going to measure the second piece off of this one. Here's my 21 gauge square. I'm going to take a marker and make a mark right in the middle of both of these wires. right at about 4 inches. Now I'm going to get my stone. For this project, I'm going to be using this 5mm light blue Spinel. I think the blues stand out really well in the copper. Kind of a contrast in colors. Delia. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these thinner flat nose pliers I have, and I'm going to measure it. Yeah, I'm going to use it to measure up the stone. These are about 3mm across the tip of here. Yeah. Should be good. Then I'm going to grab right in the middle here, where I had it, have my mark made. I'm going to just bend both sides straight up. So we have this shape, the square wire. Just going to go this way. These will become the prongs, in like a basket prong setting. How do I need them? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers and just right around the tip of it, just bend it just like that. Do that on the other side too, just the same way. We have this shape. Now I'm going to take my pliers, very carefully, making sure not to squeeze them over top of each other. I'm just going to squeeze them sideways next to each other really tight, just like that. That's both sides. Sorry, I went off camera there a second. I have this shape. What I'm going to do is take my parallel action pliers and take them right up to the end of here. So it's just hanging out there perfectly flat and level. Just bend them both straight up in the same direction, creating this, which will be half of our basket prong setting. You're going to go ahead with your other 8-inch segment of 21 gauge square, dead soft wire, and do the exact same thing. There. You should have these two shapes. They're just both the same height and line up together. What you're going to do is you're going to take the one and take the other. You're going to put the two prongs of the one through this one and hold down like this. Keep them in place in between the other, and then lift these two over and put them through the other side, and then just slide both these together like this, as tight as you can. Just enough space for the stone. So keep them straight and flat. Pull them together. Then, holding firmly with one side, when you have this pulled together like this, wrap around once. Then take a pair of pliers and just squeeze it tightly onto that post, just like that. coming out this side like this. If you want, we'll be doing this anyways, you just wrap it the second time around. So it's coming out like this. Your little post there where your stone can go. Then do the same thing with the bottom one of that side. Do two on the same side first, whether you're working right-handed or left-handed. I'm working with my tools in my right hand, so I'm holding with my left hand, doing the right side first. But once you get two of the same side secured, then you shouldn't have a need to like hold the tension on that side anymore. Just do the same thing with the other side now. Just wrap them around. Make sure you keep the direction of the square wire all going the same way too, so no twists in it, so you have the square side still facing up. It's not at an angle or anything. I like to tinker in there a little bit, just squeeze them down on the posts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this right here. Once I have this shape with the posts set up, I go on every side and just bend it up just a little bit. Bend it up just a little bit. Same thing on this side. So then I'm going to take them and bend them straight down like that. So they should be coming in towards each other. Direction of the square all still going the same way. I'll do it to this side. Check the size of our stone again. Yeah, that should fit right in there nicely. When we squeeze the prongs down, it'll sit better too. Yeah. Very nice. Now I'm going to take some, let's say some 21 gauge half round for this. I won't need a lot, just two pieces about probably like 3 inches long each. I would recommend working out of your scraps for this. I'm not, because I just thought about it right now, but Then I'm going to take it with the half round side, or the flat side of the 21 gauge, half round. I believe I'm using half hard as well. And it's thinner wires, I use half hard. Then I'm going to take the flat side facing towards me, just like that. Just make a little bend, and then squeeze it on there. With the longer side coming out to the right and the shorter side, just like that. See how that's little shape? Then just pull it up and start binding these two wires together. Making sure that they are nice and tight together. Do about, let's measure to our piece. I'd say about this is how it's going to sit in our piece with our stone there, and we'll put a spiral in here. I'd do about, let's do 5 full wraps around both for the top side. Squeeze them on there tight. And then on the underside, away from our prongs, we will snip it here. Probably still got more half round than I needed. Definitely did. And then make the underside here, this little end snip that we started with, just cut it and try to push it flush up through. So it's going towards the middle of the piece, so it won't stick on any clothes or anything later on after a piece is finished and ready to be worn. I'm going to take our other little 3-inch segment of half round and start it the same way, passing with the flat side facing towards me up through the middle and flat onto the square wire like that, and pushing the little bit off to the left, holding it down while wrapping the longer end around both, making sure they're squeezed tightly together, securing that. Just push down all the way. I'm going to say for this one we're going to do about about 5 wraps. Squeezing them tight. Make sure this 5 will be enough. Yeah, that'll be enough. Can actually probably, let's do 10. Let's just do 10. And give it more of like a wrapping around the bottom of the piece, disappearing behind it kind of look. I think 5 might just cut it off. It'll look angular at the bottom, like a cut off, but this way it'll look like it's going all the way around. And do the same thing with the little snippy bit end. There we go, just like that. Now we can start to secure our piece into it, or stone. So first I'm going to take hold of my prongs and then angle them so they're facing across from each other at angles. Pinching and pushing all the way down to get as much prong as I can. So now they're like facing across from each other. Now I'm going to take the tips of each of them and give them a small bend. And the tips are bending towards the middle now, just a little bit. It's like, just like that. Do the other two corners. I'm going to give our piece a little bend to the back like that and slide our stone right in there. And then bend it back the other way, tightening the bottom of it. So our stone's in place. We're ready to set the prongs down around it. You can actually get it up just a little more. There we go. So I'm just going to take our prongs and squeeze them down at the corners of the stone. I recommend doing the cross corners across from each other. That way, instead of doing like one next to the other, I just do them across from each other first. Just helps in the end. Should all squeeze down all the way onto the lip of our stone, holding it in place. I'm going to take my parallel action pliers and just give it a little squeeze in the middle. Make sure it's all secured. You rattle it next to your ear to make sure it's all secured. There we go. There we have a setting for our stone. Now what I'm going to do here is first I'm going to squeeze right on this last coil of the short wrap then with the 5 wraps and just angle it. Bend it straight down. Just like that. Then I'm going to take that angled end at the top here and slide it up through the top. Just like that. I'm going to take this wire to the right side first. And to the right, just like that, I'm going to slide it over the top of the inside of the frame. Just like that, coming out there. I'm going to pull that tight. And pinch it tight to the frame from the back side. And then wrap it around once more, but this time coming up through the middle here, right at this top corner, and leaving it standing straight out this way. Kind of keep the square side facing so it's straight all the way still, otherwise it wraps around. So then it's held on there just like that. Now the top on the left side, I'm going to do it the exact same way, but going to the left direction. So coming out, there's the middle of it. I'm going to be going, instead of to the right, be going to the left and pulling it up this way. First on top of the frame, and then just straight through the middle after I tighten it down. So first time through, on top of the frame, tightening it down, and this time passing it just straight up through the middle. Keeping the direction of the square, it's going straight the same way. So secure there just like that, with the first side going up through the middle to the right, and then the left going to the left. Straighten them out a little bit. Just making sure I keep them straight. The directions all going the same way. So there we have the top portion secured, but they're staying in place there. Just like that. Okay, next what I'm going to do is for the bottom side, the 10 wrap side, I'm going to start curving it down. And these, unlike the other side, where they came up on the right and the left, these are both going to go down together as one and come right up through here, right through the middle. Just work it through there gently, curving that half round, creating this kind of effect. Bring it down around there, just like that. It's going to come up through the middle here to secure these ones. So pull it tightly. Pull just the furthest right one here, or holding it upside down, it's to the left, but the one closest to this setting I'm going to put back down through there like that, and then loop it back up through the middle yet again after I tighten it down first. Straighten out my wire a little bit. So now that setting is secured in place. Tinker with it just a sec. Pull it back through the middle. You really want to make sure you get this tight so it doesn't slip or leave a loose piece. So you just make sure you tighten it to the frame when you do your wraps around like that. Well, this will create our spiral coming along the inside here. And then I'll create a smaller spiral at the top here. This little space between the frame and the piece. Try to give it some dimension. Next, I'm going to take these two wires and just pull them off. Just curve them up a little bit. Put too much tension through them or break them off. Just keep them out of the way a little bit right now as I create a spiral here. I'm going to take some 26 gauge round dead soft copper wire and take about 3 feet of it, maybe a little more than I need, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Just to keep it all flowing together as like one continuous movement of the wire through the piece. Even though the element itself may be changing. What I'm going to do is take the leftmost wire, just take this round and do about 10 coils around it, around your piece of 21 gauge square there. Keep it all coiled tightly. Snip the end and push the whole coil push down as far as you can down the 21 gauge square to the bottom. Just like that. Helps if you do use 2 pliers sometimes. There we go. Then we're going to take the inner one now, or I guess this was the one that we wrapped around and secured to the bottom, so scratch that. The one that was to the left is to the leftmost. Sorry about that. We're just going to keep the direction of this square facing up as we wrap it slowly to the right around here, following the movement of the piece. Give another like 5 wraps to the 26 gauge. Just like that. Then I'll take the coiled section and turn it clockwise as well to the right with it. Just like that. Holding the pressure of my thumb on it so it doesn't twist. Then wrapping this half round, or the square that's by itself, again around it. Creating this spiraled effect to it. Use some pliers if you need to keep the wire in place, because it can be slippery sometimes. And I'd give another, let's say 10 wraps around the 26 one. Give this wire a good curve to it so it can also wrap around again. I'm trying to make this coil decently sized enough. You might need to hold some pressure down with pliers sometimes. You won't want to bend the way you want it to, just your fingers, but pliers definitely help. Make sure you keep your coil pushed down too. It doesn't expand too much, but also that you're giving it the good curve it needs. And I'd wrap this around one more time here. This will all sit in this space nicely. Then I'm going to bind both of these wires together now and wrap them about 20 times to start. Make sure to keep them tight. Squeeze it down tight. Make sure your coils are nice and tight. Give it some curvature here. And pull these guys down now. Instead of having them pulled up out of the way, pull them down out of the way. And see how this is going to sit alongside there. I do another, looks like another 10 to 15 wraps. I'll do 15. Tighten them down. And we're going to snip this off with it on the bottom and tighten it down. Yeah, 3 feet was too much, but don't worry, we can save this piece. We may use it again, we may not. I might opt for a smaller gauge. But let's pull this through the top there, tracing that line of our piece we created before. Just filling in that gap right there like that. These wires nice and side by side the way I want them. And to secure this into place, I'm going to take the top one and follow the direction I set with my framing wire earlier. Just wrap it around the back here like that. Just work it through there, following this 14 gauge base wire. And I do like 2 wraps around and make sure it's tightened. And snip it, give it about 2 to 3 millimeters, and just tighten it onto that 14 gauge now. And take this other wire over here, and actually, I don't like the way that looks. I'm just going to pull this piece around this framing section here then and tighten it off. Like snip it off and tighten it. Should get on there nice and tight. Hopefully I changed my mind in time before it was too attached and hardened, or hopefully it doesn't break up. No, it won't. It's good. And just tighten this around onto the top of this framing section. Middle, towards the middle of the piece, just around there like that. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these two and I'll leave them both like bare. I'll cross the right top one here over like this, and then the opposite one going the opposite way, and spiral it around. Keeping the square direction facing the same way. Just giving it that spiral. I'm going to take this outside one, do my best to pass it through here. Take it here and pass it in here and over top of the bottom frame, but underneath these other elements. Just like this. Spiral it through there like that. Keep spiraling it through. If you need to, hold it and hold the pressure down where you're working and then loosen up the straight end. It's a little trick to like get it to leave some pressure, so you can keep spiraling it continuously. Squeeze it down just a little bit. You have it spiraling through there. That little loop. Tightening it where you need to create a spiral. Then I'm going to go on the back side here. So you have your spiral set in place and do it right about there. Go on the back side here. Just give it a little crimp, holding the spiral in place still. Just pass this guy through here. Onto the frame, going up what will be the left side of the piece. Just spiral in place. And tighten it on there. Nice and tight. Yeet. If you need to go back and adjust the spiral a little bit, you can too. Get your needle nose pliers and the needle down around. I'm going to do the same thing with this inside spiral now too. Exact same way. Do the same thing with this inner piece. Passing it to the left of where the other one was. Rotating it around. Squeeze it down a little tighter. Just like that. So I have it in place. Put my crimp in my wire. And tighten it down the same way. Adjusting it from the back a little bit, just reaching up through the spiral so I can twist it, give a little more dimension. Snipping it off, giving a little space to wrap around towards the inside on top of the base part of the frame, just like that. And there you have it. I'm going to leave this little space open. I was contemplating it, but I really like the if you use like empty space the right way, like negative space, it looks really cool. Thank you for watching. I'm thinking of starting a Patreon and doing like weekly class tutorial sessions. If anyone would be interested in that, I will leave a link in the description, and I will also leave a link to my Facebook page, Savage Bean Studios, where me and my wonderful significant other post all of our creations as we make them.